Hello friends, I am going to start class 12 NCERT history book, The Contemporary World Politics. The first chapter is the era of Cold War. Overview of this chapter is that this book is depend full in this chapter. This chapter is the backdrop of entire book, and contemporary era was started when USSR has disintegrated. After that, when Cold War has ended and contemporary world in politics has started. After that, we will go through the NAM, non-alignment movement. Non-alignment movement was formed by the 5 countries, in which India also the part of the non-alignment movement. Jawaharlal Nehru has given great contribution to form this movement, because that time the world has divided into two world, first world, second world, and the leader of the remain who do not support any of the allies, they form their own ally, that is non-allied movement. After that, international economic order. What is international economic order? New international economic order was formed, because when non-alignment movement has formed, that time the leader of the non-aligned movement, they did not think that economy is the necessary for sustaining a country. After that, when they meet again in 1970, after that they thought that it is most important for a country to independent political and economic development says, so they develop these things, new international economic order, and we will go through it whole chapter. And you see, these two picture is given when US dropped atom bomb in Japan. That time US raised their flag. You see, these all are the army, their artillery, bomb everything spread around there. And this is USSR flag. They raised after 1947, when Allies power won and defeat Axis power. Friends, before you know what is Cuban Missile Crisis, it is important to know where is Cuba. So look at the picture of Google map. I am telling you where is Cuba. Here you see that Cuba is near neighbor country of United States of America, and this side USSR is present. You can check it out in Google map. Now the story is that Cuba was communist ruled country, and the president of Cuba, Fidel Castro, and Fidel Castro was the ally of USSR, and USSR in 1961 placed almost all the powerful nuclear weapons such as nuclear missile, artillery, and many more things near the USSR, and USSR is the neighbor of the Cuba. And that time USSR was worried because USA want to invade Cuba and overthrow the president of Cuba, Fidel Castro. And the president of United States of America, Kennedy knew about it, that USSR has placed its nuclear weapon in Cuba after 3 weeks. Then he reluctant to do anything that might lead full-scale nuclear war in between the two countries, but it is determined to get Gorbachev to remove the missile and nuclear weapon from the Cuba. Kennedy ordered American warship to intercept any Soviet ship heading to Cuba as a way of the warning of USSR in its seriousness. Means that time, if USSR has not removed it all the powerful nuclear weapons and missiles from the Cuba, then 100% another third world can be possible. And in history we will not see about the world war as a hell in third world war as hell between India and between USSR and America in 1961. But from Cuba, Gorbachev has removed almost all the nuclear war and so Kennedy also calmed down about this. And now what happened, you see, the and after this incident the world politics will become change from the Cuban missile crisis. How change, I am telling you. Look at this page. Here what happened, I am telling. Cuban missile crisis was the highest point of what came to known as the Cold War. From this time the Cold War has begun, and between two power, United States of America and Soviet Union. And approximately, now I am telling you, from here only you will understand everything. This map is NATO, about the NATO member and the Warsaw. I am telling you the summary of this chapter now you see what happened after that. When the Cuban missile crisis has after the Cuban missile crisis, maximum country, western country, were joined to the allies of United States of America, and eastern world has joined to the allies of USSR. Because many one think that USSR, the ideology followed by USSR was communist and socialist, but the United States of America has followed its different idea, that is capitalist and democracy. So the emergence of two power bloc, the two superpower were keen on expanding their sphere influence in the different part of the world, and allies, many different types of allies has joined their USSR. And now think why anyone wants to join these allies, because if once they join the alliance, then they get many advantage, such as they get financial support, they get new technologies, missiles, artillery and weapons. And this is Moscow of USSR, and if Moscow wants to invade the allies of the United States of America, then Moscow will place almost all its weapons near the ally country. And one thing is very much critical in this matter is that the superpower are not going to any types of loss of life, and only financial loss can be possible. I also agree. But one thing, the ally had almost many loss, such as Cuba has destroyed, Venezuela has destroyed, and if see the western side, then Vietnam. This is all the result of that things. So after in 1955, United States of America basically formed NATO. Now why NATO has formed North Atlantic Treaty Organization? In 1949 it formed to counter Russia. And when the NATO has formed, the many country of ally of Russia has joined NATO and become more powerful. Now in NATO there are 30 countries in the NATO, and to counter NATO, Russia had made its own ally, that is Russia has Warsaw. It is known as Warsaw or Eastern Ally, because most of the Eastern country has joined USSR and the Western country has joined United States of America. And this way the Cold War has begun, and more also United States of America has formed its ally, such as CENTO. SATO means Southeast Asian Treaty Organization, Central Treaty Organization in the Southeast Asia region and Central region. In Central region there are the many countries such as Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, Iran, Iraq. These all the countries are in central, and approximately Iraq has to destroyed itself because it was also invaded by both USA and Russia. That time, very much crucial thing has happened in Iraq, and China, communist China respond by the having close relation with regional countries such as North Vietnam, North Korea, and Iraq. The Cold War threatened to divide and this Cold War has divided the world between two allies. One ally is United States of America, and another ally is USSR. But there is something happening that whatever the Cold War has going on, one third world has formed, that is non-alignment movement. One thing need to know that non-aligned movement is formed, but India played a very important role and critical role to play to form this non-alignment movement, because when USSR or United States of America has asked India, you support to which side, that time India tells that I want to create my own different world, that is third world, and third world is non-alignment movement, which gave newly independent countries a way of staying out of the allies. Means that time also India was the new form, because India was the ally. I mean, India was the colony of Britain and decolonized that time, and new independent country that time India, and before it India was a colony of Britain, and that time quickly India formed non-allied movement, because in non-allied movement there are very much important stories. I am telling you the story of non-alignment movement. Now here you can see one things. You may ask why the superpower needs any ally to all. This things is most important. Why the superpower need any ally? Because the nuclear weapon and regular armies, they were so powerful that the combined power of most of the smaller states in Asia and Africa and even of the Europe, when no match to that of the superpower, the similar state were helpful for the powerful in the gaining of access. That means that once the superpower need any ally, then the superpower get access to the smaller country, and the access is that first is vital resources such as oil. In almost all the Arab country there are very large amount of and huge amount of oil, crude oil and minerals, which are sold by this superpower USA, and USSR. Not China also plays same things. China has goes Iran and almost Arab countries, and explore its all the natural resources. And second, territory and assist. Superpower get assist to the smaller countries' territory, where they can easily launched weapon and troops, and also spray to each other and get location to spray its enemy country. And more and less one thing here, the Cold War, how the cold arena of Cold War. After the Cuban crisis, the Cold War has started, because that time only the time of the Cold War has begun. And after that, the two superpowers were poised for direct confrontation of the Korea, Berlin, Congo, and crisis deepened the nature of the parties during Cold War. The Cold War has ended when at the time of disintegration of USSR and new era has started, that is the contemporary world, and that time only, because many countries has developed their own nuclear missiles. So that time there are three significant missiles has signed between agreement between the countries, that is the Tibet and Anti-Tibet nuclear test ban treaties, nuclear non-proliferation treaties, and anti-ballistic missiles treaty. These three treaties are signed between them. These treaties means nobody can test that treaty in three: water, air, and land. And nuclear non-proliferation treaty, not other than this country have right to keep their own nuclear weapons. If they keep, then they get many more sanctions. What happened in 1999, at the time when India had developed its own nuclear missiles, anti-missile ballistic missiles treaty. This treaty is signed between these superpowers. After that, the challenging of bipolarity, and this time non-alignment movement has formed. When there are three countries. First, there are three countries almost, and the first country was Yugoslavia, India, Egypt, and the leader of these countries, Yugoslavia, was Joseph. India, Jawaharlal Nehru was the leader, and Egypt leader was the Gamal Abdel Nasser. He was the leader, and after that, 1956 was the first meeting held in Indonesia, and Ghana also emerged and become a part of the non-alignment movement. The first non-alignment movement summit held in Belgrade, 1961. Three factors of the non-alignment movement you need to know: cooperation among this country, cooperation. Means whoever the member of the non-alignment movement, they should have to keep the cooperation between each other. After that, growing Cold War tension and its widening arena, the dramatic entry of many newly decolonized African countries. In that time, many African countries are newly decolonized and become independent. They also become a part of this movement. In 1960, almost 16 new African members in United Nations. In 26 member of the state, now 120 member in 17 observer country. In now 17 observer country in non-allied movement, and 120 member. 2019 Uzbekistan meeting 18 summit had held. Non-allied grew into the popular international movement. But one thing, if you know, then it criticism, then you will get many more different type of things. Is that here to nothing is given in this non-alignment movement. Non-aligned is not a neutrality. But then one thing you know, that why the leader of the non-alignment movement keep their self from this two block. Is they are moving from their power? No, they are not moving their power from their power. They are basically want to keep their independent foreign policy, and they use their independent foreign policy and build their country more economic and powerful. So they are not, you cannot. So non-alignment is a isolation. It is not considered as isolation. They are staying away because they are not interested about their personal matter of the US and USSR. But this chapter has given many things. One thing you need to know: what is international economic order, new international economic order. Non-allied countries were more than the merely mediator during two Cold War. At the time of Cold War, means before 1991, this non-aligned country has played very much crucial role as a mediator to cool down their war, and that is non-alignment movement. Non-allied country not support either of the bloc. Non-aligned movement country has used their different own foreign policies. Now the idea of the new international economic order (NIEO) originated with their realization. The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development 192 titled toward the new trade policy of the development least developing country control over the natural resources before 1991, when the globalization, liberalization and privatization has not done. That time this non-alignment movement has controlled their own natural resources and exploited by the developed Western countries. After that, they developed developed Western countries of their access to the Western countries and market, and these non-alignment movement countries get access to the European market and sell their product their own market, reduce the cost of the technology. Whatever the technology will sell by the Western country, they will reduce its cost and implement it in the non-alignment country, providing the least developing country with great role of international economic institution, WHO, IMF. These all are the economic institutions. They provide help in the crucial situation of any country. But one thing you know about it, that in 1961 economic issue is not the importance. That time the non-alignment movement challenged. But after 1970 it has become most important that non-aligned movement came to the economic pressure group, and they thought that initiative faded mainly because of the stiff opposition from the developed countries who act as a united group when the non-allied countries struggle, and many more things are given. India and the Cold War. What India has played during the Cold War. These things is very much important. So guys, one thing you know about this. As a leader of non-aligned movement, India's response to the outgoing Cold War and twofold. At the first one level, it took the particular care of staying away from the two allies. India will stay from the two allies, will not support any of them. After the second, if any decolonized country will become a part of the allies, then India will raise voice against it. These two things, twofold outgoing in Cold War. India's policy was neither negative nor passive, as you see in this Ukraine war. When Russia invaded Ukraine, that time also India played a great role. Neither India nor support anyone. India just silent. But by this example of Ukraine and Russia, you will understand this full paragraph what I am telling you. On contrary, India was in favor of the actively intervention in the world affair to soften Cold War rivalry. India tried to reduce the difference between the allies and thereby prevent differences from the escalating in the full-scale war. India diplomatic and leader was then used to communicate and mediate between the Korean War in the 1950. India has, in this Cold War, India has played a very great role because India intervened in world affair and soft Cold War rivalry, and India tried to reduce the differences between the allies and nearly prevent the difference from the escalating the full scale war. And this due to this there is no possible of third world war, because India always intervene in between the powerful country and two blocks, whatever today they form NATO and many more unknown organization, but India will always try to intervene in this organization or super between two superpower and try to control their war, and full scale war escalating into a different these types of happening. India's diplomatic and leader will also use the communicate and intermediate. This external affair, Ministry of External Affairs also try to intervene between the Cold War rivalry, such as in 1950 Korean War. That time also very much crucial things has happened. What is in the Korean War 1950? That time it is important to remember that India choose it involved on the member of non-alignment group in their mission during the Cold War. India has repeatedly tried to active though regional and international organization. I am telling what that things are given here. Allied by the US and USSR, Nehru proposed great faith on genuine commonwealth of free and cooperation nation that play a positive role in softening, if not ending, non-alignment movement was not, as some suggest, novel international cause. First, non-alignment allowed India to take international decision and stance at the interest rather than the interest of the superpower. Means the superpower and the allies are taking their own interest, but neither of them can say India that India can take either of the side, because India have its own foreign policy. And we have seen recent Ukraine-Russia war. In Ukraine-Russia crisis, there are many things happen. Many Western countries has told that to boycott or sanction Russia, but India neither here nor of them. So these things is very much important. Second, India was often able to balance a superpower against other. India can balance. India has already balanced and now also balancing USA and Russia, NATO and Russia. Everything is balanced. India is trading with Russia, such as India import crude oil as well as fertilizer. Everything is imported by India from Russia, but nobody can tell anything because India has its own foreign policy and India is a sovereign country. India's policy of non-alignment was criticized on the number of the counts. Here was many far criticism, but India also has many criticism. First criticism I will tell you later, but now you see here. Second criticism is what no. India is the non-alignment movement. In non-alignment movement means India not support anyone and not friendship with anyone. India has individual foreign policies, neither join any alliances. But in 1971, one thing has happened in India, and that things is good. Whatever India had done, it is great thing. I support it. Treaty of Friendship with the USSR for 20 years, and after that, Soviet alliance system, and as virtually not fully but virtually joined the Soviet Union, but India is not joined any of them, any allies. The Indian government view was that India need to diplomatic and possible military support during the Bangladesh crisis, and this Bangladesh crisis you will get more information. I am telling you the information. And this Bangladesh crisis in 1771, Pakistan has invaded Bangladesh, and all the female and girls were killed, and many people were killed by the Pakistan used very much his rude behavior of the people of Bangladesh, and almost rape every woman and little girl also not left to do that types of sign things. So that time India helps Bangladesh very much, and Bangladesh that time liberation of Bangladesh in 1971. You can search in YouTube, you will get many more videos about Bangladesh crisis. And after that, Shakti Vahini, the force of Sena of Bangladesh, you can say, they were liberated from Pakistan, and finally 93,000 of Pakistani force has surrendered to India. And that time India had one chance to take POK from Pakistan, this POK, but India had done mistake by Jawaharlal Nehru, because Jawaharlal Nehru stretched this matter to the UN. So India did not able to take back this POK. Otherwise, that time India can take this POK from the Pakistan, because you can see 93,000 forces has surrendered to India, and these things has recorded in World Book, Genius of World Book. Whatever, let complete the chapter. This way India, and first one I have forgot to tell you that first India's non-alignment movement said to unprincipled. Many one says that India is not principled and alignment, because they knew India can form any organization with anyone. India in the name of the pursuing it national interest. India, it was the said, often refused to take a firm stand and crucial in international issue. So whatever I have told you, that things is given. I have to tell in chapter review time everything I have tell you. But one thing non-alignment movement as a strategy involved in Cold War. We will see in chapter 10 disintegration of the USSR, how USSR had disintegrated, and end of the Cold War when the USSR disintegrated. Non-alignment movement, both international movement and core of the Indian foreign policy, lost some of earlier relevance and effectiveness. Non-alignment contained some core value and enduring idea. Decolonized states share historical affiliation and can become a powerful force if come together. Means if decolonized states come together to the non-alignment countries, then become a powerful forces together. After that, we will discuss in next chapter Berlin, how the wall of the Berlin has break by the people of the Germany. That things is also very much important in this. This is the limited test and ban treaties, means no one can test the nuclear weapon, neither space, underwater or land, atmosphere means. And this signature has done, this treaty has done in 10 October 1967, nuclear non-proliferation treaty. Nuclear non-proliferation treaty was signed by the five nuclear weapon states, USSR, USA, Britain, France and China. India has also got offer for join NATO, but Jawaharlal Nehru transferred that offer to the China. So now we are suffering about this, and this is a strategic arm limit talks, SALT 1, SALT 2. You can read here. So friends, this chapter is very much nice, and I also become little emotional after reading this chapter, because this chapter is detailed about the our country India. So now we will soon meet next chapter with overview. So thank you.